And then allow your eyes to close. And if you don't want to close your eyes, just have your eyes downcast. And take a moment to notice exactly how you're feeling right now. And maybe acknowledge all the feelings and the stress and the cumulative impact on you and your family, your loved ones, and those around you of lockdown. And we're not analysing that or judging that. We're just bringing that into our awareness, because it's going to affect our starting point. We can only ever start our practice from this present moment of mindful acknowledgement of where we are right here, right now. And then also notice that more daily fluctuation. How are you feeling in your body today? Are you feeling stiff or flexible? Your energy levels high or low? Is your mind sharp or blunt? And again, we bring no judgment to that. We're just finding out, inquiring, turning our awareness from outward to inward, so that we can move from a place of truth into the transformation that we experience every time we come into our practice. And I'd like you to begin to connect to your breath. And we're not going to over control it to begin with. We're simply going to notice the quality of our breath right now. Whether the in-breath has qualities of smoothness and flow, or whether there's a little bit of tension in the breath, a little bit of jaggedness or unevenness. And beginning to allow your breath to express itself a little more fully and a little more slowly. And if it is automatic for you to use a subtle ujjayi breath as you do this, that would be absolutely fine, or not would be absolutely fine as well. That's great. And then I'd like you to just place the palms just below the lower ribs on the abdomen. And we're not going to have any significant muscle tone in the abdomen. We're going to keep it really soft. And we're going to do some breath now that is purely focused on maximizing the amount of breath that we can draw into the lower part of the lungs through the action of the diaphragm, which is going from this dome shape and pushing down into the soft cavity of the abdomen, and therefore displacing outwards the abdomen. And it's actually outwards and sideways. So the visual image here as we breathe in and out is that as you inhale, you feel as if you're inflating a balloon just below the lower ribs. And as you exhale, that balloon is slowly deflating. So just resting the hands here, we'll do a few breaths to connect to that sense of soft abdomen and this slowly filling balloon. Trying to keep this breath really easy and soft. We're starting with the abdomen for the additional reason that it's such an important emotional center, and at this time when we are feeling more stressed, more anxious than usual, this area can become very tight. So focusing here, really letting go, allowing softness on the inhale, allowing softness on the exhale, can be a really helpful and nourishing and reassuring practice. And this will feel like a very full breath, because the diaphragm is the main muscle of breathing. It's responsible for most of our everyday breathing and easily 50% of our maximum breath capacity. But we're going to move up now and use the rib cage. And this time, instead of visualizing a balloon, we're visualizing more some bellows, and the bellows are pointing upwards. So what we want to feel, instead of just expanding sphere of the abdomen, we want to feel an expansion out and a slight lift of the ribs as we breathe in and out. You're still going to feel the abdominal breath at the start of your inhalation, but then just keep going and connect to this lifting and widening feeling in the rib cage. And as you exhale, those bellows are just gonna close a little bit. So we've got this inhale, opening the bellows, and exhale, closing the bellows. And by actively focusing our attention on lifting the ribs, we're adding in extra capacity. We still have the balloon expanding, the diaphragm working effectively, and then we're adding to that the deliberate lifting and widening of the rib cage, which is creating even more space in this thoracic cavity for this deeper inhale. So you may feel and sense the additional depth of that breath, and also the slowing down of your rate of breathing as a result. And I know that some of you may be thinking, well, you know, he's just teaching the full yogic breath here, and that we've been doing this for years. I think the content of what I teach over the last 5 years has become more and more simplified, and I'm finding more depth in the experience as a result of doing less complex practices. So I'm just inviting you to come into that and revisit this. But there are also things that I've been finding that many people haven't really been noticing. So I want you to try and notice this now. This is, to me, is a very interesting transition. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you, with your eyes closed, to take a super mindful inhale and to really feel in your body the work of the diaphragm and the creation of this inflated balloon sense of that part of the inhale. And then I want you to notice the transition when, and it's, once you see it, it's very, very noticeable, where this reaches its capacity and this takes over. So the expanding balloon reaches its inflated limit, and then there's this transition from the diaphragm breathing muscle to the external intercostals, and you feel a transition to the rib cage lifting. It's a lovely sensation. Let's do a few breaths trying to feel that. And as you experience that additional depth and length to your inhale, also have a more of a focus on really releasing the out breath. You need to do very little on the out breath. Gravity is going to bring the rib cage back and down and inwards. The diaphragm, as it relaxes, will naturally move up, and the elasticity of lung tissue, which is probably the most important factor, will have a recoil effect, so that exhale requires almost no intervention of breathing muscles. They're all active on inhalation and not on exhalation in relaxed breathing practices. It's different for things like Bastrika or stronger pranayamas, or going for a run. But in this situation, we're engaging the muscles on inhale, and that gives us an opportunity to contrast the effort of the inhalation with the total release of the exhale. And that total release is having other positive effects. which I'll mention in a moment when we do stage 3. So after your next exhale, if you just bring the elbows in and rest the fingers on the top of the collarbones, this will be something you'll all be aware of. But at the end of our fullest inhalation, we're going to feel a slight lift here in the collarbones, and actually some of the muscle attachment is also on the very top ribs. And these are some neck muscles called accessory muscles to breathing, and they just lift the collarbones to create that additional 10 or 15% of lung capacity right at the top of the lungs. So we're still going to do this, we're still going to expand the rib cage, but at the end of our fullest comfortable inhale, we're going to try to feel that lift in the collarbones. It's only a subtle movement. And at the end of the next exhale, just release the hands down. So what we'll do now, we'll do 2 more breaths, and this time we'll try and experience the 3 movements of in-breath. So I'm calling this balloon, bellows, and winch. So it's the balloon first, the working of the diaphragm, the bellows, the expansion of the rib cage, and the winch is as if you've got 2 little winches lifting up the collarbones at the end of the inhale. And exhale in reverse, the collarbones will sink down slightly, the rib cage will move in, the diaphragm will move up, and that effortless exhale. So let's do that for a couple of breaths. Very good. Just pause there for a moment. We've done quite a lot of breathing, so just check in with how you're feeling in your body, in your breath, in your mind. The deep, slow breathing, simple though it is highly effective at moving out those stress hormones, so therefore supporting good immune function, but also supporting heart rate variability, which not all of you may know about, but essentially and as you breathe in, your heart speeds up slightly, and as you breathe out, your heart slows down slightly. And it's one of the measures used by hospitals to check on the overall health of a person's different physiological markers. So if we do this very slow, long inhale and then this very mindful, slow exhale, it gives even more opportunity for that speeding up and slowing down to take place. So you can improve your heart rate variability. It's just another subtle benefit of slow breathing that we now know to be true from more recent scientific research. So we're going to finish this with just a little hand movement that I like to use when teaching this full breath. So as we begin to breathe in, the palms just move outwards, and that's signifying the working of the diaphragm. And then we turn the palms upwards at the point where we feel the ribs beginning to widen and lift. And then right at the end of the inhale, as you feel your collarbones lifting, you just curl the fingers in and point them up to the ceiling. And then as you exhale, extending the fingers, turning the palms, moving them back in. So it looks like this: inhale, 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 exhale, exhale, exhale. So we'll finish this practice just by doing a few breaths using this hand gesture. And the next time you exhale, release the hands down. And again, just pause for a moment to notice how you're feeling. So if you enjoyed that, just experiment with it in your own practice. It's something that's working well for me, and I think it's very nourishing breathing practice at this time. I've timed that, and when doing this breathing practice, it's taking me 20 seconds to inhale and 20 seconds to exhale. So that approximates to 1.5 breaths per minute. That's a really low rate. That's a dramatic slowing down of breathing rate when we think of 12 to 15 breaths a minute being a common average in everyday life. And that's why the effects of the practice are so dramatic and transformative. Okay, so we're gonna carry on. I'm also teaching mainly a Samavritti ratio in this class, so an even inhale and exhale. And that practice, when you really work on a slow, mindful, full inhale like that, it can be as long as the exhale. Normally we would expect the exhale to be a little bit longer than the inhale. So it's a Samavritti ratio with no retentions, and that promotes balance and is an effective way of breathing. So we're still in our chair for a little bit longer, but as I said, if you really want to be down on the mat because you've been in lockdown and stuck in a chair, I'll understand, and please don't feel constrained. So palms are together, shoulders are down and relaxed, and as we breathe in, we're doing that same full breath. We're taking the arms wide and we're thinking about the shoulders dropping down and back on the inhale. And as we breathe out, bringing the palms back in front of the heart. Inhale, drawing the arms wide. So it's almost as if we are giving a big, wide welcome to that abdominal breath. We're really going for this sense of expansion and contraction that we felt as our abdominal balloon inflated on the inhale and deflated on the exhale. But we're also trying to find softness in the shoulders, so the arms are really relaxed. There's hardly any tension in them. Fingers are relaxed, spreading them wide, and then breathing out, bringing the palms together, and equally finding that softness in the shoulders. And exhale. And this time, as we bring the palms together, we're just going to do a little bit of wrist mobilization. So from prayer position, if you rotate your wrists, so you roll around the back of the hand, you circle the wrist completely, and you bring the palms back together in front of the heart. And then going in the other direction. And this gives us lots of movements of the fingers of the wrist joint, of the ulnar and radius in the lower arm, and just a little bit of movement in the shoulders. And then coming back together, just drawing the heels of the hands together so you're pressing into the fingertips, breathing here, and then as you breathe out, roll down the fingers until each finger is pressing against the other, and then carry on rolling all the way down to the wrist, and then pressing the wrist together, expand the fingers and make a kind of lotus flower shape with the fingers. And we're really reaching and stretching the fingers here. If you've got any arthritis or joint problems in the hands, you're just going to work within a gentle, pain-free range of motion. So we'll do a couple of those. We're going to go inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale, and then something slightly different, interlacing the fingers to make a soft fist. You could almost call this the bud, and then exhale there, and then inhale, open the flower, exhale, fold the fingers the other way so the other thumb is on top, inhale, open the flower, and once more to each side, bud, flower, bud, and flower. And then release the hands, give the arms a little shake, give the shoulders a little shrug, and then turn the palms away from you with the arms just a little way away from the body. And this time, as you breathe in, let the arms float up. And then at the end of the inhale, you're going to turn the palms and exhale, lower the arms down. And at the end of the exhale, we're going to turn the palms up and breathe in. So now we're connecting a little bit more to that upward direction of breath that we felt in the rib cage lifting, the thoracic breath, and the collarbones lifting, the clavicular breath. But we're also putting in these palm turns just to define the end of the inhale and the end of the exhale. This is very, very helpful for us and for our students to avoid the clipping of the breath. Helps them get to a more full expression of breath. Again, keeping the shoulders and the arms really, really soft. It is, when we've done this for a while, moving into a sensation of the arms are being floated up by the breath. As soon as you make the arms rigid and try and make this a stretch, you lose all of that quality. So they don't need to go really, really high. It's still about connecting to breath and making these movements really gentle. On the next exhale, let the arms hang again, give them a little shake, and then think of the arms as being completely inactive. They're just hanging there. They're actually working as weights for you. And you're going to breathe in and take the shoulders forward and up. And as you breathe out, you're going to take the shoulders back and down. So inhaling forward and up, and exhaling back and down. So this is useful, as you'll all know, because shoulders are very, very mobile. They're very reliant on muscles and connective tissue to maintain their form and position. And when those muscles get tight and the connective tissue begins to solidify at times of stress or bad posture, these shoulders can get very tight. So keeping them moving is really, really important. So that is just the shoulder girdle. We haven't done anything with the actual shoulder joint at the top of the humerus here. So to get that joint, we're going to turn the palms out, bend the fingertips, and now we can circle the elbows. So this is a shoulder mobilization practice that I use a lot because it enables you to explore full range of movement in the glenohumeral joint, the shoulder joint, but also in the shoulder girdle, having first checked how the shoulder girdle is in the previous practice. Fantastic. We'll just do one more of these, and then we'll exhale, release the hands. So I'm not going to mirror you. So it's left hand against the chair. which might look like my right hand from your point of view, and then turn the right palm out and inhale, reach up. And now we are doing our first kind of active stretch. So connecting with that right sit bone, rooting that down into the chair, rooting both feet down to the ground, and creating as much length as you can up the right side of the body. And then on an exhale, leaning to your left and stretching the sides of the body. Take one breath here. Use that breath to give this additional stretch, the intercostal muscles on the open side. And exhale. And then inhale, coming back up, turn the palm, and exhale, lowering the arm down. Let the right arm hang now or hold the chair. Turn the palm out on the left side, exactly the same. Breathing in, bringing the arm up, finding the length, connecting down to the sit bone. There's some muscles being stretched here, particularly latissimus dorsi, but the muscles of the abdomen and the thorax tend to wrap around the body. So this is as much a fascial stretch as it is a muscle stretch. Exhaling, leaning over to your right, stretching the left side of the body. Full inhale here. Full exhale, deepening the stretch. Inhale, coming up, turn the palm, and exhale, release the arm down. Give the arms another little shake and just a mini shrug there. Bring the palms together in front of the heart. Take an inhale, make the axis of your spine as long as possible. Tucking the chin in, back of the neck is long. And on an exhale, we're rotating both shoulders and the head around to the right as far as we can. And once you've turned, you might just want to drop the hands down. So I've got my left hand on the outside of the right thigh and my right hand is just resting on the outside of the chair. If your chair's got sides, it may affect how you do this practice. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, turn the shoulders just a little bit more if you can. And a common theme of this class and my teaching is only trying to move more deeply into postures on the exhale. So inhale is all about just holding steady, drawing in the resource of the in-breath, and then exhale, deploy that resource in terms of finding the flexibility. So keep the shoulders exactly where they are, and on your next inhale, turn the head. So now you have the shoulders rotating clockwise to the right and the head turning the opposite direction. And these contrary twists are very effective for spinal mobilization. It's just 2 breaths there. So at the end of the next exhale, just releasing the shoulders forwards, coming back to center, bringing the hands together. Inhale, tall. Exhale, twisting to the other side, turning the shoulders and the head. 3 breaths here. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, release into the twist. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, release. At the end of the 3rd exhale, breathing in, turning the head the opposite way to the shoulders, looking back into the room, and 2 more breaths in this contrary twist. And then at the end of the 2nd breath, releasing back to center. Hands on the thighs, elbows out, just a little forward bend here to equalize everything in the body. Come back to the midline. And then sitting back up, release the hands down. You can either hold the chair, hold the back of the chair, or you could interlace the hands behind the back if your shoulders are released enough. We're just coming into a simple seated back bend. And we're going to do very little with the head and the neck. We're not going to lift the chin and look up. The highest point you want to look for with the eyes is probably just the top of the wall where it meets the ceiling. So all our focus is on opening the thoracic spine, lifting the lower ribs, sinking the upper back in between the shoulder blades, and not on the lower back or the neck. And then bringing the hands forward again, and this time coming a little bit further forward into a release pose. And it's more than a release pose, so the seated forward fold is a very effective way of lengthening the lower back for people with lower back discomfort. May give immediate relief if it's just muscular. So let's just take a couple of breaths here. So as you inhale, feel that you're rooting back into the chair through the sit bones. And as you exhale, you're trying to extend the spine away from there. So it's not a curling down towards the thighs, it's an extending forward and releasing down. But in its soft final expression, you're just going to tuck the chin in and let the weight of the head come forward. And that is going to be a gentle way to give a bit of traction and length to the back of your neck. Lovely. Okay, and then using the hands, breathing in, coming up, bring the palms together in front of the heart. This is the last thing we're going to do in the chair, and then you'll have the option to come down onto the mat or continue in the chair. So this is a modified inclusive sun salutation that we teach on the Yoga for Health, Yoga and Healthcare Alliance protocol to NHS patients. So from this position, we're going to breathe in and come into what we tend to call cactus arms. My camera's at a funny angle, so my arms look a little bit uneven. So if I can make them look even on screen, but they're not even in real life. So this is inhale position. I'm drawing the elbows back. This is a back bend position. And then exhale, bring the hands down onto the thighs and come back into that forward fold. Inhale, come halfway up. And if you have the back strength, you hover the hands here. I'm just going to show you that from the side view, and then we'll do more of a flowing one. So it would have been from here, inhale, exhale, hands down, forward fold, inhale, see the back is flat, so I'm actually using all the erector spinae muscles all the way up the back to lift the spine. So this is really important for those who are working from a chair, who have less opportunity to get out of gravity and build back strength. So leaning forward and then coming halfway up, hovering the hands, engages those back muscles. That's inhale. And then exhale, coming into a deeper forward bend. And yes, some people like to just hang the hands down towards the floor for that one. On the next inhale, you're going to bring the back up to flat. And then you're going to carry on up and come back into cactus arms. Open the spine. And exhale, bring the palms together in front of the chest. Inhale, take the palms up. It could be here, here, or here. And exhale, sway to your right. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, hands back to the heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, sway to the other side. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, back to center. Let's do one more of those in the chair. Breathing in, cactus arms. Breathing out, hands to thigh, forward fold. Breathing in halfway up, hover the hands if you can, engage the back muscles. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, raise the spine, engage the back muscles, then lift the hands, cactus arms. Exhale, palms together. Inhale, take the arms up, palms up. Exhale, sway to your right. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, palms to heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to the other side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. If you're working in a chair, you're just going to continue with that, because we're going to do that exact same sequence from standing. And if you've just come up to standing, then what we're going to do first of all is just awaken the feet a little bit by rocking the pelvis forwards and then backwards, lifting the toes only as the pelvis moves backwards, and just shifting the weight into the toes, feeling the toes gripping the floor or the mat, and the heels just feeling light. They can just hover a little bit if you're feeling really confident about your balance. We're just awakening the feet with this movement. And I do a lot of transition from floor to standing doing this. If you're in the chair, so just do the same thing. You're still lifting the toes and then lifting the heels. And that's still going to be really good for the foot, just as good for the feet. And we're also working some muscles in the front and back of the shin there. Okay, so let's come back to prayer position. And breathing in, opening up into the cactus arms, and then breathing out, a big bend in the knees, and bring the hands onto the thighs and bring the head down level to the heart. So if you yourself or any of your students have any reason not to take head below heart, high blood pressure, glaucoma, all the usual things, they would just work here. So here's inhale, halfway up, hover the hands, use the back muscles, and then exhale. If you're not taking head below heart, you can still do a stronger hamstring stretch here by lifting the sit bones, bringing the legs towards straight, or you can go into a full Uttanasana position here. It's only for one breath. To breathe, to come back up, bend the knees, bring the back flat, and inhale, power up with the quads, open the heart with cactus arms, and exhale, bring the hands together. Hands are going up now. And then you're going to exhale and sway to the right. Inhale, come up, and exhale, hands in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale to the other side. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, hands to heart. So last one, whether you're in a chair or standing, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, engage the back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, palms together. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale to your right. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, up. Exhale to the other side. Inhale and exhale. And then release the hands down, whether you're standing or sitting. Just pause for a moment, notice the effects of that practice. And then we're going to use the chair now, and another way of developing that very inclusive sun salutation is to pop a lunge into the middle there. So just after coming out of the forward bend, you can come up and then come onto the lunge. So can I just check, this is the point where I will continue to give instructions for people staying in the chair, if there is anyone in the class who's going to stay in the chair. So if there is, just unmute and say, yes, please. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're all able to stand. So ensuring that, no socks, non-slip surface, and that your chair isn't going to move, which might mean putting it against the wall or something. We're going to take the right foot onto the chair. And it's really important that this back foot does not rotate open. If the back foot rotates open, we're not going to target the muscles we want to target. So if you're feeling that that back heel is lifting like that, it probably just means you need to bring it in a little bit closer to the chair rather than turning it out. So if this is happening correctly, what you want to feel is that most of the work is happening through this standing leg. So you've got a stretch through that left calf, all the way down through the left Achilles to the heel. If that stretch isn't being felt, just move the leg back slightly without turning it out. The right leg is just being held in this nice, easy lunge position without the knee going beyond the ankle. There's actually very little weight going through the knee joint when we're in the chair, so the knee is much less vulnerable here. That's a good positive thing about this practice. And then you'll notice I've got the hands on the thigh, so I want to keep the spine upright. So if I avoid doing this and leaning towards the knee, if I stay upright, maybe you can just feel that. If you exhale, come forwards, you'll feel the stretch through the front top of that left thigh switching off. And as you come up, you'll feel it intensifying. So we're really getting into two muscles, the hip flexor, which is of course attached to the lower back, but also one of the quad muscles, the only quad muscle that crosses the hip joint. Those are both being lengthened. It's kind of the hip end of your back bend that we're working on. Very nice. And then we're going to just move the knee back, take the foot off, come into that on the other side. There isn't a class that I'm teaching at the moment that doesn't include this practice. So it's the ultimate effective chair sitting counter pose. So if you think about all those muscles of the hip flexor and the rectus femoris being shortened when we're in this position, in a seated position. So even standing up stretches them out, and then taking that leg back and keeping the spine upright puts a whole additional lengthening process into those muscles. That's going to be really, really helpful. You can do some things here. We're not going to do them all now, but you could do some arm movements here. You could take the hands behind the back. You could come into call this your warrior one, modified warrior one position here or here, and theme a class around that. Let's just take that left leg off, give the legs a little shake for a moment. And then we'll just do something slightly different. Feet are definitely hip width apart for this, for stability. And do keep an eye on the stability of the chair. So we can breathe in and just move into our lunge, and then we can breathe out and just move from the lunge into a hamstring stretch. So inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And one more, inhale and exhale. Well done. And same on the other leg. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. So release that leg down, give the legs a little shake. We're going to do some working cat now. I'm just going to show you how I think that cat is a very suitable pose to use the chair as well. So if you don't already do this, have a go at it. You know, wrist and shoulder problems are very, very common. So if, especially if we're teaching over Zoom and we can't really see what's going on, or we might forget who's in the class because you can't always see who joined late, I prefer these versions, these modifications that preserve all the benefits of the pose but have less hazard. So breathing in, we're just opening the chest, breathing out, tucking the tail, arching the back, just as you always do in your cat. So just moving in and out, feeling that undulation of the spine. And, you know, I often remind students that cat is one of the most beneficial practices of spinal mobilization. And in fact, mobilizes over 70 joints as we're doing it. So it's a very, very effective way of keeping the spine moving. And then we're going to just come out of cat and come into resting pose. So some people might just want to rest the forehead down and make a pillow with the hands. If you can, you're going to sink the hips all the way down towards the heels. You can keep the arms up on the chair if you want that additional stretch, or you can bring the hands down onto the mat. Chair version of cat, as I'm sure you will have worked out, is breathing in, opening the chest, slide the hands up towards the hips, breathing out the other way. It's just not, it's not as effective because it's being done in gravity, so there's more compression on the intervertebral disc, so it's to be preferred if you can get the spine out of gravity for that one. So coming back up with the forearms on the chair again, and just before we raise the leg to strengthen the glutes, if you extend one leg, you can see we're in a kind of supported plank position here. And from here, we can rotate the heel, which will work on hip opening, but it will also just keep the toes flexible. And you can do that like this with the toes tucked under, and you can also do it with the toes tucked the other way. Now, obviously, people with very stiff toes or any arthritis going on, they could find that uncomfortable, but the advantage of this one is there's very little weight going through that foot. You might progress that to doing this one, but in this one, you're kneeling with the toes tucked and you've got a lot more body weight going into those joints. But you know, 50 joints there that need to be kept moving. So let's just do that on the other side. You could also do, if you had more of a focus on strengthening, you could do a little bit of supported plank from here if you wanted to. And then bring the leg back. So we're just going to do a couple of these. We're going to breathe in and we're going to extend the right leg and just aim to bring that leg parallel without moving the back of the pelvis. So that's going to stay absolutely level. So there's a little bit of engagement of the core under here. And then as you exhale, swinging the knee through. So we'll do 3 on the right leg and 3 on the left. So the action of lifting the straight leg in gravity is very strengthening for the glutes. The glutes are important for spinal support and posture, and they're often weak, so it has that benefit. But we're also continuing with that lengthening of the hip flexor and the quad that crosses the hip joint that we just did in the lunge. So both reinforce, and those muscles need a lot of repetitive work to create additional length. As soon as you've done 3, I'm sure most of you have moved on to the left side already. Just following your breath. And then bringing the knees back. And again, just taking resting pose for a moment in any position that works for you. So for those of you who get the lesson plan, you'll see that there is a chair version alternative for every single mat practice that we're doing. Sometimes when you offer the support of a prop like the chair, people who might not otherwise come down to the mat are able to, so that also supports inclusion. So we're going to do a downward dog now using the chair. So you'll just have to sort of decide where is a secure place to place the hands, and we're going to do this dynamically. So we're going to breathe in and tuck the toes, and then we're going to breathe out, push into the hands, lift the knees, and try and come into this extended flat back position so the knees are staying bent and the spine is lengthening. There's an inhale here and then an exhale to take the knees back down and untuck the toes. So here we go again, breathing in, tuck the toes, breathing out, coming up into downward dog. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, release the knees down. You can do one more of those, and this time, if you want to, you can hold the downward dog for a little bit longer. And if you're desperate to take your hands down onto the mat rather than on the chair, please do. Obviously, this using of the chair is also good for those who can't take head below heart. So that is a useful tool for our teaching. So if you're holding the dog, you'll be still in the dog, and if you've did that last sequence, you've got your knees down on the mat, you're just going to make your way back up to standing now, or releasing the pose and come up to standing. I'm going to turn my chair around. We're doing a balance now. So the advantage of having the chair is it acts like an insurance policy for all students. I'm quite against teaching balances that can go wrong for students and demoralize them, and you can undo a lot of good that you've done in your class if you suddenly go into a tree balance and someone's having a really bad evening for balancing. Maybe their mind is a bit agitated or for whatever reason. You put a chair next to them and they know that they can grab it, even if they don't grab it, it seems to help. So that's a good thing. So I'll just show you without the chair. We're just going to do inhale, take the arms away from the body, and exhale, float the arms back down. So this is a dynamic heron balance. And to just finish off that last little conversation or remark I was making, I tend to teach dynamic balances, so one breath balances, because if it goes wrong, the damage is limited to that one single breath. So now we're just beginning to bend the knee and lift the ankle, and exhale, arms down. Inhale and exhale. And this might be as far as we go. I've been, or was teaching before lockdown, in a sheltered housing complex near me, and dynamic heron, just coming up onto toes with the support of a chair, was enough for many of the residents there. But of course, you can extend that to lifting the knee with the breath. Allow the breath to lead the movement. It becomes like almost like a Tai Chi movement, or a very slow dance movement. Lots of grace, embodying the qualities of the heron, lots of softness in the breath and the arms. And working into that balance. And of course, you could move that on into allowing your more able students to hold heron, or even go on into some of the various versions of tree that we might teach. That's what we're going to do in our practice today, though. So we're going to come down to the mat now, and we're going to draw the knees in over the chest. So you might want to turn your chair around, because we're going to use it one more time at the end. And I'm going to place a blanket under my head for this next section. And I still see a lot of yoga students and a lot of teachers not encouraging support under the head when students come down to this lying position. And for a small number of students is absolutely fine, but for many, placing the head on the floor leads to the chin being higher than the forehead. That means the neck is in extension rather than neutral, and it becomes very difficult for them to free their necks in that position. So enough support to get the forehead and the chin level, or the forehead even slightly higher than the chin is better than the other way around. So knees coming in, just taking a little rock from side to side. And now that we've got the neck in a nice neutral position, you can roll the head the opposite way to the knees. And then coming back to center. Some of the patients we teach actually need a belt to connect to the legs. So you might be holding shins, thighs, or using a belt. And just a little bit of apanasana, exhaling, deepening the flexion in towards the chest. Inhale, arms straighten. Exhale. Very effective lower back release, and also creating space in the sacroiliac joint. And from here, we're going to go into wide knee circles. Sometimes I do a practice here where they circle around the back of the pelvis with the arms down, and that's an effective way of engaging some core muscles. So one hand on each knee and circling the knees widely, inhaling for half a circle, exhaling for the other half. Just 3 circles in one direction, and then 3 circles in the other direction. And then next time the knees come together, slide the legs straight, take the arms overhead, have a long stretch, spreading the bones of the feet, the palms of the hands, spreading the fingers, using your muscles to lengthen the spine. And then bending the knees, feet flat on the floor, hip width apart, arms away from the body, palms facing upwards. If there's lack of room, cactus arms is fine. And we're doing a little bit of Jatara Parivritti, exhaling, knees to the right, head to the left. Inhaling, head and knees to center. Exhaling to the other side. So just follow your breath. And if you want a little bit more twist, next time you come up from the left side, feel free to bring the legs and the feet together just to take the twist a little bit higher up the back, if that's right for you. Very nice. And then next time the knees go to the left, make that the last one. And then inhaling, coming up, draw the knees in over the chest, take a little rock from side to side. And then feet down to semi-supine, remove anything that's under the head. Slightly tuck the tailbone under. And with the fingertips, place the fingers where the lower back is, and notice the back is flat against the floor. There's no arch there. And you're just going to maintain that feeling of gently pressing down through the core of the body, to keep this lower back anchored. Palms can go flat on the floor now. As you breathe in, pressing into the feet and literally hovering the back of the pelvis one hand width off the mat, and just noticing whether you can maintain this sense of corseting and support for the lower back as you lift the pelvis. And then as you exhale, take the lower back and then the tailbone down. So we're just going to increase this movement with each breath, coming up a tiny bit higher on inhale, and exhale, rolling the lower back and the pelvis down. So one or two more vertebrae coming up into the air with each inhale, giving you a little bit more spine to roll down on exhale. And by the fourth or fifth breath of this practice, you'll probably be lifting the pelvis up towards being level with the knees and the shoulders and having almost the whole of the spine to roll down. And when you get there, we're just going to do one more, and you can either continue with this dynamic lifting and rolling down, or if you'd like to, just holding the pelvis in the raised position for, let's say, three breaths, just because time is getting a little bit short. And as you're doing that, feeling that you're really pressing the feet down to the mat, especially the big toe joint, slightly internally rotating the thighs to make the legs strong and supportive, and keeping the breath a little bit up in that thoracic region, the external intercostals working. You don't want too much diaphragmatic movement here, because it's going to conflict with the core engagement that's supporting your back and moving the back bend into this part of the spine, which is where we want it. And then if you're still working, long exhale, roll the spine down, draw the knees in, and rock from side to side. And our last but one pose, or our last stretch before we come into our inversion, we're going to use the belt. You've probably been wondering when the belt was going to come in. And we're going to come back into semi-supine, feet flat on the floor, blanket under the head, belt around the right foot, coming up into this position with the belt wrapped once around the hands, so there's no undue tension in the fingers. And we're starting with the knee bent, so the leg is kind of vertical. Definitely keep this left leg bent at this stage. I'll give you an extension option in a moment. And then this is your inhale position. You're going to move the knee in towards the chest, and your exhale position is to straighten the leg into the hamstring stretch. At all times, the back of the pelvis is staying on the mat. So inhale, release the hamstring stretch. Thigh towards lower ribs, knee towards chest. Exhale, straighten. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And this time exhaling. And now you can hold this stretch and either keep the left leg bent, or if you prefer, you can stretch that leg away from you. And the more flexible among you, if you've got that leg straight, then this leg can begin to track in towards the body. If the knee is bent and you're struggling even to get the leg straight, there's really no point straightening the left leg, and you should just be working here and cultivating that steady breath. Shortness in the hamstring is a chronic problem in many people and many of our students, and we just need to work consistently and effectively to create the space there. And the bending and the stretching that we did earlier is a very effective way of releasing tension in the muscle and then taking the stretch. So this is the revelation that for people with tight hamstrings who go into a stretch, they're actually developing a contraction to resist the stretch. So we don't want that. That is the body fighting itself. So we need to work more intelligently than that with the breath and by understanding how muscles try to protect themselves from stretches that they're not used to. Okay, now we're going to bring that left leg back into semi-supine, bring the left knee in over the chest, and allow the left foot to take over the belt, right foot down into semi-supine. Inhale, left knee to chest. Exhale, extend the leg. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let that leg lengthen. And if you straighten the leg on the other side, feel free to do that. And use your breath to find the sweet spot of this stretch for your hamstring, where your breath is steady, the body is not stressed. You can feel the hamstring releasing rather than contracting. Well done. So let's bend that right knee back in. This time we'll just bend the left knee, release the belt, draw the knees in over the chest, rock from side to side. And then the inverted posture I'm going to invite you to take involves taking the legs onto the chair, just lifting the pelvis, sliding a block under the pelvis, having the blanket under the head, and the arms resting away from the body. So I'm not going to say you can't do a half shoulder stand or whatever you normally do here, and you could equally do legs up the wall, but I would suggest that teaching a pose like shoulder stand or even half shoulder stand via the format of Zoom would be asking for trouble. And this is a lovely way of mildly inverting the body and giving people the experience of an inversion, but in a very safe, restorative way. So allow yourself to really take a few breaths in this supported inversion. Take this opportunity to reflect on what you're feeling right now in your body and your breath, and where your mind is in terms of being steady, focused and present, or mind wandering. And from this position, we are going to move into relaxation. So if you're finding that position very comfortable, feel free to remain there, but also feel free to release from it at any time. Otherwise, coming into Shavasana or semi-supine or any other position that's comfortable for you, and just making sure you're not going to be cold, grabbing an extra layer or a blanket, supporting the head. One of the ways that we can feel a little bit more resilient and more in our center during these difficult times is by doing practices that heighten our sense of grounding. So we've done that a bit today with the focusing on the feet and the way that we practice, but we're going to do that a little more specifically now in our relaxation by imagining that we are breathing up and down from the ground. And because we're not doing an active conscious pranayama for this relaxation, we're hopefully going to feel that the exhale is naturally a little bit longer than the in-breath. So we won't be moving the body during this relaxation, we'll just be shifting our focus and doing a body scan around different parts of the body. But first of all, just bring the whole of your body into your awareness. Notice how you feel at that physical level. Notice any discomfort. And be prepared at any time that discomfort arises to make any minor adjustments to your posture so that you can move back into comfort. Notice the overall levels of tension in the body, the quality of mind, the quality of breath. And then take your awareness to the right foot. And as you breathe in, imagine that you're breathing in up from the ground into the right foot. And as you exhale, releasing the breath from the right foot back down to the ground. And that exhale is also washing away any tension in that foot, and the right foot is relaxed. And then bring the whole of the right leg into your awareness. And as you breathe in up from the ground, fill the whole of the right leg with breath. And as you exhale, feel that breath sinking back down to the ground, taking away tension from the right leg, and the right leg is relaxed. Still on the right leg, inhale, breathing up from the ground. Exhale, breathing back down to the ground. Awareness to the left foot, and inhale, breathing up from the ground, filling the left foot with breath. And exhale, release the breath down to the ground. Relax the left foot. Awareness to the whole of the left leg. Inhale, breathing up from the ground, fill the left leg with breath. And exhale, release the breath and release the leg back down to the ground. One more time. Inhale, whole of the left leg. Exhale, release. Awareness to both legs, breathing in. Draw breath up from the ground into the both right and left leg. And exhale, release the legs and the breath down to the ground. Move your focus up to the pelvis now. As you inhale, draw the breath up through the back of the pelvis to the front of the pelvis. And exhale, send the breath back down to the ground. Inhale, up into the pelvis. Exhale, back down to the ground. Moving up to the lower back. Inhale, breathe up from the ground into the lower back. Exhale, back down to the ground. Release and relax the lower back. Inhale, breath comes up. Exhale, breath moves down to the ground. Move your awareness up to the rib cage, the thorax. Breathing in, feel the breath moving up through the back ribs to the front of the chest, coming up from the ground. Exhale, breath moves back down to the ground. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, chest and ribs releasing down. Inhale, breathing into the chest. Exhale, down to the ground, releasing the back ribs into a deep connection with the earth. Awareness to the right hand. Inhale, breathe up from the ground into the right hand. And exhale, release the right hand down to the ground. Inhale, right hand. Exhale, down to the ground. Awareness to the whole of the right arm and right shoulder. Inhale, up from the ground. Exhale, release the whole right arm and shoulder back down to the ground. Inhale, up from the ground. Exhale, down to the ground. Awareness to the left hand. Inhale, breathe into the left hand. Exhale, Release the left hand down to the ground. Whole of the left arm and shoulder. Inhale up from the ground. Exhale, release the left arm and left shoulder down to the ground. Inhale, left arm and shoulder. Exhale, release. Inhale, both arms and both shoulders. Exhale, release. Inhale, both arms and both shoulders. Exhale, release. Awareness to the neck, the back of the head, the sides of the head, the crown of the head, and the face. Inhale, breathing up from the ground through the back of the neck and the back of the head. Exhale, breathe back down to the ground. Relax the neck, the head, and the face. Inhale, up from the ground. Exhale, back down to the ground. And now hold the whole of your body in your awareness and breathe up through the back of the body, inhaling, filling the whole of the body with breath and energy. And as you exhale, release the breath down to the ground, washing away all tension, allowing the whole of your body to relax. And continue in your own mind with that simple visualization, inhaling up from the ground into the whole of your body and exhaling back down to the ground. And at the end of the next exhale, just let go of that visual image and bring your awareness back simply to your natural breath and all the sensations in your body. Notice whether you feel an enhanced sense of connection and groundedness. Allow your breath to deepen and move your fingers, wriggle your toes, and stretch your arms and your legs in any way that feels good. And if you're lying on your back with the legs straight, bend your knees, roll onto your left or right side. Take a moment or two there. And then we're going to come up for our final breathing practice. And you can do that sitting cross-legged with any support you need under the hips, or you could come into your chair. So we're going to finish with another simple practice, another Samavritti ratio of inhaling and exhaling for a count of 4. And for some of you, moving that count up to 5 or even 6. I'm going to use the chime bowl just to cue us in. So be in a comfortable position, reconnect to your breath. And without even trying, just imagine the equality of the inhale and the exhale. So reach without counting for that balance between in-breath and out-breath. Allow your breath to be as soft and free as you can, with a natural fullness that doesn't involve any strain or undue use of the muscles of respiration. And then on your next inhale, silently counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can, moving up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only if comfortable. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue with your own Samavritti rhythm, and whatever count you're using, just use it for 2 more breaths, and then release the process of counting, which can be a mental contraction, and instead just have that feeling, that sense of where you are with your comfortable equal rhythm of inhale and exhale. I'm going to bring the breathing practice to a close. Just finish your next exhale. Let your breath return to its natural rhythm, and have a final check-in with your body, your breath, your mind. Remember to continue to nourish yourself with your practice. Make that a priority. Make self-care a priority, so that you have the resilience not only for yourself, both physically, emotionally, mentally, but also for those around you. Thanks for joining me for this practice.